NGO Gift of the Givers has come to the assistance of drought-stricken Adelaide residents in the Eastern Cape. The dam that supplies water to the area has run dry and animals are dying. Farm workers are also losing their jobs. Let's get you the latest on the story now. Gift of the Givers Director Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman joins us from our studios in Cape Town. Dr. Suleiman, as always, thanks very much for your time. Gift of the Givers to the rescue again.
Yes, Michelle, but before I answer that question, I first would like to offer my condolences to Ian Say, the media fraternity, to Ben Sayed's family, and all journalists knew him. Ben was a great man. I worked with him many times. It's our deepest condolences for your great loss on that matter.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
In terms of Adelaide, we were called by the Adelaide municipality around June to say they were going to run into difficulty, and they required at least 500,000 litres of water per day from underground aquifers. Our hydrologist, Dr. Khunawal, went in, and within a few, and before that they had somebody who drilled more than 1,000 meters and found no water. Dr. Khunawal drilled, and within a short space of time, we found 1.5 million litres of water per day. And we thought the problem is sort of basically resolved to some extent. Last week, I sent my teams in to visit, because we were getting messages on social media that there was a dire situation in the town. And when they went there, they found the dam completely empty, as you said in introduction. There was no water coming out of the taps. People were desperate. We were getting calls from people. Then Khunawal also went to the town and realized that the aquifer was drying very rapidly. So they requires a much bigger intervention from different aquifers. We sent in water tankers, but it's not enough. We need several more water tankers, and we need a water source from which to fill the water tankers. While walking in the area in the dam.
Are you shocked once again that the situation has gotten to this point before intervention is called upon, before government actually institutes a state of emergency?
Well, that's the big problem. You know, I've spoken to government many times. I said they don't understand what a state of emergency means. You know, and it's something you can't say there's a crisis and you're going to respond 5 or 6 months later. We spoke to the minister. The minister wants to fast-track the process. They now have a new minister who's been very proactive, and we've met on several occasions. But the limiting factor is government processes. You know, people can't bypass their own processes, and that's where the complication is. People can't have access to the money. They can't spend the money. They can't take a decision. There's so many rules. It's not like we tell them this afternoon, you know, the dam wall is going to break and you need to move people. They can't do that because the processes are slowing them down. They need to find a system around their processes which is holding up the whole process. Dr. Khunawal has said it for the last 2 years. We've got a severe drought. It's getting worse. It's sinking its teeth into the ground, and we really need to act, and we need to act fast.
So what happens when, as you say, underground water reserves are also decreasing? I mean, what's the next step after that?
Well, the advantage is there are different aquifers. We don't always use the same aquifer. So Dr. Khunawal is looking at different aquifers. He now has a theory that under the dam itself, there are certain aquifers we can access. He's busy talking to the municipality in Adelaide to get the special permission after his report to drill into the dam itself, into the ground, to see if we can access water from there and look for other aquifers. So far, in all the areas, we've bypassed that process and we've come across water when there was no water. Yes, we need rain as much as possible. We need people to conserve water as much as possible. But in the absence of rain, you know, and no river, it's going to be very, very difficult. You may have to cart water in tankers from other areas. We're hoping that that may not be the case in Adelaide and even in Bedford and the towns nearby. He's very confident that we will find another aquifer from which to drill a bowl, to fill the water tanks, and even put JoJo tanks along the line of the roads where people can come and fill up.
Yeah, I mean, the situation is already so dire for not only the everyday lives of people in these areas, but for farmers especially. What's your appeal to government at this very late stage, actually?
Well, they need to fast-track their processes. We can still save. What's gone is gone. There's nothing we can do about that. But we can still save for the future. The farmers in those areas, their livelihood depends on cattle and depends on citrus fruits. The citrus cannot be harvested because there's no water. There's a huge delay in that already. Cattle are dying at a rapid rate, both in the Eastern Cape and in the Northern Cape. Cattle and sheep dying in the Northern Cape. We need to access funding to provide fodder, transport, fuel, drill boreholes rapidly, bring bottled water if necessary, bring tankers. The SNDF should make water tankers available, and any company in South Africa that has water tankers available, we can use them. And we need to help farm laborers, and now even the farmers themselves, you know, in a very humble way, are requesting food for them and their families. It's not only the farm workers, it's even the farmers that require food. So all these things have to be met very, very rapidly. They need to unlock their processes and need to act fast, not in 10 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 weeks. They need to do it in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, Dr. Suleiman, and on a different issue, I want to ask you about abducted South African journalist Shiraz Mohammed. It's a week now that since we got that video that was released on social media, I believe. He was appealing to government to please deal with the people in charge with a better tone. He said something disturbing. He said, "These people will put a bullet in my head." What can you tell us about the negotiations to get him back home?
We are not in that negotiations anymore. We withdrew on the 26th of June because the family opted to use the person who's mentioned in the video. We know that person, and we were very afraid that once he gets involved, he's going to tick the captors off, because we know his approach. And you know, I don't know character assassinate, but he's not trained for hostage negotiations. And what you saw in the video is what we expected. And now apparently he's off the case. So basically there's no one working on Shiraz's case right now. And that's very, very difficult. The captors actually called us a week before they released that video. We didn't know they were going to release a video, but they just told us they want to talk to us. So we told them, when we were talking to you, when we were getting to a good point of negotiations, you decided to leave us unceremoniously, with no protocol, no ethics, and you decided to just leave the discussions and talk to someone else. We can't operate that way. They said, no, but the other person is unreliable, we can't speak to that person, and the case is cut off. So at that point we knew that something major was going to happen, and that's when the video came out a week later.
Dr. Suleiman, is there any chance of you and your organization getting involved again?
The problem is, Michelle, look, we would love to help the family, but we don't know what has been promised. You see, this game is a very dangerous game. You never let captors down. You never make false promises. You don't promise things you can't deliver. You've got to watch how you speak to them. You've got to maintain the dignity even though they're captors. You have to speak in a very special type of way. And now, if they're on edge already, and you come in and you can't deliver what somebody else has promised, it's very, very dangerous. But while saying that, I will be discussing what the State Security Minister, she called me about this yesterday, and we're going to see what's possible and what can be done to calm them down on the other side. We're already talking to them, actually. They called us again 48 hours ago, and they wanted to know if we're involved, and we said no. But we sort of asked them to calm down, to give it a cooling off period before we all can talk again.
All right, well, let's hope that those negotiations bear some fruit and we can get Shiraz Mohammed back home. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, he's Director of Gift of the Givers, talking to us there at the end about journalist, photographer, in fact, Shiraz Mohammed, who's been in captivity in Syria. He was kidnapped in Syria, and that was now almost 3 years ago. He's also been talking to us about the intervention by Gift of the Givers, particularly in Adelaide, and he says real intervention being tied up there by bureaucracy and red tape. He's also appealing to government and corporates to get involved where they can as well.